So, hello everybody, this is Bhante Joe here, and just here actually in Sri Lanka. So, it's been very nice to arrive here, and it's been 30 degrees, which for me is great. And the host, who's been kindly hosting me, asked me if wanted to turn on the air conditioning, but told him that, for me, coming from Canada, this is the heat is a luxury. So that's been nice. And so thought to maybe try to do first meditation video in Sri Lanka, hopefully of more to come. So I thought that could start by leaning forward a little bit and arching the spine and looking about 3 feet in front and closing our eyes. And can think thoughts of goodwill. Can spread goodwill to our right-hand side, wishing may all beings to my right be happy and at ease. May they put in place the causes necessary to be happy and at ease. And we can make our minds infinite, can make them unbounded, all the way to the ends of the universe and beyond, in every dimension. May all beings to my right be happy and at ease. And can spread thoughts of goodwill to our right-hand side and our left-hand side. May all beings to my right and my left be happy and at ease. May they put in place the causes necessary to be happy and at ease. And we can make the mind infinite, can make it unbounded, all the way to the ends of the universe and beyond, in every dimension. May all beings to my right and my left be happy and at ease. And can spread thoughts of goodwill to our right-hand side, our left-hand side, and in front. And can spread thoughts of goodwill to our right-hand side, our left-hand side, in front, and behind. And can spread thoughts of goodwill to our right-hand side, our left-hand side, in front, behind, and above. And can spread thoughts of goodwill to our right-hand side, our left-hand side, in front, behind, above, and below, all around in every direction, everywhere. May all beings all around in every direction, everywhere, be happy and at ease. May they put in place the causes necessary to be happy and at ease. And we can make the mind infinite, can make it unbounded, all the way to the ends of the universe and beyond, in every dimension. May all beings all around everywhere be happy and at ease. And can open our eyes and do a short Owada for the internet. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi, dhammāṃ saranang gacchāmi, sanghaṃ saranang gacchāmi. Dutiyampi buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi, dutiyampi dhammāṃ saranang gacchāmi, dutiyampi sanghaṃ saranang gacchāmi. Tatiyampi buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi, tatiyampi dhammāṃ saranang gacchāmi, tatiyampi sanghaṃ saranang gacchāmi. So, hello everybody, and hope that you're having a great day, wherever it might be in the world. And so, I was just saying a bit earlier, just arrived here in Sri Lanka and had the good fortune to stay for a while at about a week and a half before coming here at a forest monastery in California, which was really inspiring, very kind of inspired by the teacher. And it was also very inspiring to see the community there. And one of the interesting or the inspiring things about this community was that the monks there's this real emphasis on only speaking as much as necessary. And so remember years earlier when we went to Thailand, that was one of the first things that struck me, was that the monks would be very careful in how much they talked to each other. Wouldn't try to usually get into too many conversations with each other. And so they would just kind of go on their alms round. That would be silent. They would come back, put their things away. That would be silent. They would go and after that go to meditate for a while, and that would be silent. They would come back and eat the meal, which would be silent. Wash their bowls, which there was always an emphasis to try to be silent from the teacher, or there was an emphasis at the time to try to be silent during that time. And so usually the times when you would interact would be kind of, if one was sitting down drinking tea or something like that, if there was something necessary to talk about. But that was very inspiring. And this community is also, maybe exemplary in that respect. Kind of the monks in the community, they kind of live together speaking, very little, and tending to speak only more or less when it's necessary. And this was one of the aspects of speech that the Buddha really recommended, was not to engage in what he called sampapalapa. That's the Pali word sampapalapa, which means idle chatter. And so basically only talking about things that are necessary. Basically things connected with the Dhamma is the way that he recommended it. Also, you can see the Buddha kind of engaging in what they call exchanges of friendly greetings and courtesies. So in other words, this kind of aspect of speech, when one lives in a community like that, or there's a community like that, what it does is it tends to turn the flow of one's attention from going outwards to going inwards, and makes it much easier to focus on one's meditation object and one's meditation practice. There was a kind of a quote from Ajahn Suchart a while back, or maybe a couple of weeks ago on Facebook. And he was saying how his teacher was named Longtha Mahabua, was one of the most famous monks in Thailand, and well known for his practice. And his teacher always used to place an emphasis on keeping the monks separate. So not having them, talk to each other much at all. So he didn't even know the names, I think, or maybe didn't know the names of the people he was staying with, just knew their faces, this kind of thing. And so what that tends to do is, what he emphasized in that post was that this kind of turns one's mind away from kind of picking up the problems that are associated with doing a lot of interaction with other people. And one kind of is interacting constantly with people here and there. It kind of stirs one's mind up and gets one a little bit attached to that person and their karma and their views, and start to get worried about, okay, did this interaction go right? Did it go poorly? Did it go well? Did it, what's it going to be in the future? All these kind of things. But then as one kind of stops engaging in that type of speech a lot, which is something that one can do at a monastery, then what happens is those kind of thoughts can tend to settle down for a person, almost almost like a kind of like the Buddha gives this image of a bowl of water that gets stirred up and all the sand or whatever is kind of floating around. Imagine a bowl of water with some sand, stir it up, all the water starts floating around in the little dish. But when we stop stirring, then that kind of floats to settles to the bottom. And in the same way, it's a lot of the disturbances that, or many of the disturbances that one can potentially, depending on what one's life is like, experience when one sits down to meditate are the disturbances of the burdens that one can pick up when one picks up the burdens of other people, picks up the burdens of creating super tight bonds with other people, of engaging with other people for the sake of bonding, for the sake of delighting in talk. These kind of burdens kind of come up in a person's meditation practice, start to worry about that other person, what they think about it, how do they perceive me, how does this go, all these kind of things. And oftentimes this is a kind of pleasure that people like to engage in because it provides some happiness, which is, of course, not saying never speak at all, but the thing about it is that it can have this flip side to it, where if one engages in what they call this kind of idle chatter, it's kind of talking about the news, talk of the well, talk about women, talk about men or whatever, and, all these various kind of things that the Buddha lists, and that tends to stir a person's mind up and can create a lot of worries, create a lot of anxiety in a person's mind. So when one kind of limits one's speech, tries to keep it just to the necessary of what's to talk about, if there's specific things to talk about in terms of a duty, like, how do we get this project done, can talk about that. Or if there's, if we even notice maybe somebody's having a rough time, then, talking to them, engaging in kind of speech with them at that time, that's for the sake of lifting them up, all these various things, that's kind of most likely in line with right speech as well. But when it gets to the point where one is kind of engaging with this as a kind of type of pleasure that one's grabbing onto, that's when one's mind starts to get stirred up. So it can be good if one has a chance to go on retreat, to go to a monastery like this one that was just at, or even if one can, for a period of time, just separate oneself a bit and, spend time alone. But ideally spending time in a community where this type of speech is a priority, then it can give a person the opportunity to see the peace that comes from letting the mind settle down, from not having to constantly be engaged with other people for the sake of creating really tight bonds with them, or for the sake of engaging in idle chatter with them, and engaging with other people for the sake of the Dhamma, for the sake of growing in wholesome qualities. And there's a type of happiness that comes from this. Type of happiness that comes from the freedom from anxiety, freedom from worry that comes when we put down other people's worries, we put down their fears, we put down our concerns so much about their opinions of us. And this happens when we stop. This can happen, be greatly aided when we stop engaging in this sampapalapa, in this kind of idle chatter. So it was very nice to have the chance to stay at this monastery and to see the inspiring way that the community there conducted themselves, kind of a way that's conducive to progress in meditation. because this is one of the things that that the Buddha teaches. I think that the teachers who train people at these kind of meditation monasteries really emphasize is learning to place limits on one's speech. Because when one does, then one's mind can start to settle down, and one can start to experience the peace that comes when one drops other people a bit, drops the burdens of bonding a bit, drops the burdens of engagement a bit to try to find a happiness inside. Okay, so leave that for reflection, and hope that everybody's having a great day wherever it might be in the world. And yeah, hope to do another post maybe before too long. Okay, bye for now.